Space was never silent for Derek. Inside his small fighter, a soft hum always lived beneath the controls. The engine whispered. The sensors blinked. The stars blinked back. But today everything was still. No noise. No control. No warning. Just the dark. Derek looked at the cracked monitor. The blinking red letters said, "Unknown gravity well detected. Course locked. System override, not human." His fingers danced over the buttons. Nothing worked. Something else had taken over his ship. He wasn't falling. He was being pulled. Through the glass, he saw a strange blue and purple planet getting closer. It was not on any Earth map. The stars around it bent strangely, like light through water. Derek cursed. His mission had been simple: respond to a deep space signal. Just a scout run. No danger. Now he was crashing into a world he didn't understand. The ship tore through the sky, flames licking the wings. Trees rushed up like spears. Boom! Everything went black. He woke up to pain. His back ached. Blood trickled down his forehead. His helmet was cracked. Sparks flew from the control panel. The air inside the cabin was hot and smelled of burning metal. He kicked open the hatch and fell onto soft, glowing grass. Derek coughed, stood up, and looked around. This world was alive in ways Earth never was. Blue trees with glassy bark. Floating insects that glowed like fireflies. A sky with 3 suns and a soft purple mist. Even the rocks looked like they were breathing. It was beautiful. It was wrong. And it was watching him. He didn't know how, but he felt it. Like eyes behind every leaf. He took a breath, pulled his small blaster from his belt, and stepped forward. Then came the voice. "You humans never knock first, do you?" Derek turned fast, gun raised. "Who's there?" From behind a tall vine, she appeared. An alien girl. Not a monster. Not a warrior. Not what he expected. She was calm, curious. Her skin was pale blue, almost glowing. Her long silver hair floated behind her like it moved on its own. Her clothes shimmered like they were made of stardust. And her eyes, silver, deep, ancient, looked straight into his. She smiled and said softly, "What else do you expect to receive from me, human?" He blinked. "What did you say?" She walked closer, hands behind her back, like a child playing a game. "Isn't that why you came?" she said. "To take something, to claim something, to break things and call it peace." "I don't want trouble," Derek said. "I just crashed." Her head tilted. "Of course you did. That's what the last one said too." "The last one?" She walked slowly around him, studying his face, his uniform, his fear. Derek tightened his grip on the gun. "You're not the first human to land here," she whispered. "But you might be the last." He raised the blaster. "Stop moving." She didn't. He fired. The shot passed through her. Like smoke. She was suddenly behind him. "You're quick," she said playfully. "But not very smart." Vines rose from the ground and wrapped around his legs. He fell. The blaster flew from his hand. The girl stood over him. She looked young, but something in her eyes said otherwise. She was ancient, dangerous, not of Earth. "I should leave you here," she said. "Let the forest have you." "But I won't." "Why?" he said, breathing hard. "Because you amuse me," she said. "And because you're not ready to die yet." She snapped her fingers. The vines let go. Derek sat up. "Who are you?" She offered her hand. "I'm Nira," she said. "Daughter of stars. Keeper of what's left." "And you?" "Derek," he said. "Pilot. Not ready to die either." She smiled again. "Then follow me, Derek. The forest is waking up. And it's hungry." He looked at the shadows between the trees. Something huge moved inside them. Watching. Crawling. He had no choice. He ran after her into the glowing woods. Behind them, where his ship burned, strange shapes began to gather. And the hunt had already begun. The forest didn't breathe. Pulsed. Every leaf. Every branch. Every inch of soil under Derek's boots felt like it was alive. He ran behind Nira, branches slapping his arms. The deeper they moved, the more the world changed. The sky darkened, though no sun had set. The trees bent inward, their trunks glowing with red lines like veins. The air was thick, hot, wet, and humming with energy. Far behind them, the sound of growls echoed. Metal? Beast? Machine? Derek didn't know, but it was coming. "Where are we going?" he shouted. Nira didn't look back. Her voice floated in the air like music. "To meet your fear." They stopped before a wall of glowing stone. An alien door, round like an eye and carved with shapes that twisted if you looked too long. Nira touched its center with one hand. The stone hissed open. A tunnel of light and heat opened below, leading deep underground. "You want to live, Derek?" she asked. "Then step inside. This is the first gate." "What's in there?" She smiled without warmth. "Something that remembers how to kill humans." He hesitated. "You said you'd help me," he said. "This is help," Nira replied. "If you survive." And she was gone, vanishing into the tunnel like a shadow. Derek stood alone. The forest behind him roared with unseen danger. But what waited in front felt even worse. He took a deep breath and stepped inside. The chamber was alive with fire. Molten light dripped from the ceiling like blood. The floor was cracked stone, steaming. Strange machines lined the walls, half organic, half metal, humming softly. In the center stood a large creature, 10 feet tall, made of armor and bone. His back burned with blue flames. It had no face, just a single red light where eyes should be. Turned when Derek entered. It roared. Derek raised his blaster. He fired once, twice. The shots bounced off. The thing charged. Derek jumped to the side, rolled across hot stone, and barely missed being crushed. The creature slammed into a wall, cracking it. Dust flew everywhere. He coughed, eyes stinging. His weapon was useless. From above, a voice echoed. It was Nira, watching through a floating crystal. "This is the Forge Guardian," she said. "It was made to test warriors long before your Earth was even born. You could have warned me." Derek shouted, ducking another strike. "Why?" she said. "Fear is part of the test." The Guardian stomped toward him again. Derek noticed something this time. It slowed every time it moved near the heat vents in the floor. He had an idea. He ran toward one of the vents, jumped over it, and the Guardian followed. When it stepped on the hot plate, blue flames burst from below. The creature screamed. Its armor cracked slightly. "That's it." Derek ran again, this time in circles, baiting the creature toward each vent. One by one, the blasts of fire weakened it. At the 5th vent, the Guardian finally fell to one knee. Derek grabbed a broken spike of metal from the floor and drove it into the red eye. The light faded. The Guardian collapsed. Silence returned. The walls cooled. Nira stepped into the chamber, clapping slowly. "Impressive," she said. "You didn't just fight. You learned." Derek dropped to the ground, breathing hard. What was the point of that? She looked at the ruined creature. That was one of many. This planet was a proving ground once, for ancient empires long gone. "And now?" he asked. "Now," she said softly, "it is a graveyard, and a doorway." "To what?" Nira looked at him with those cold silver eyes. "To your place in the stars. If you survive the next test." Derek closed his eyes. He wasn't sure if this was the beginning of something great, or the end of everything. The desert didn't move. It stared. For hours, Derek and Nira had walked across burning yellow sand under a dead white sky. No clouds, no wind, no signs of life, only the silence. And yet, the silence felt loud, as if something under the sand was listening. Derek wiped the sweat from his face. "You sure we're not just walking in circles?" Nira said nothing. She walked barefoot, not leaving a single footprint. Her eyes were fixed ahead, sharp and far away, like she was chasing a memory. Then she stopped. Without a word, she knelt and pressed her palm to the sand. The ground answered. It hummed. Soft at first, then deeper, like a machine waking up after 1,000 years of sleep. The sand began to shift. A spiral pattern appeared around her hand, pulling downward. Derek stepped back. Nira, what is this? She looked up at him, smiling. The grave of something powerful. And angry. The sand caved in beneath them. They fell. Derek shouted, arms flailing, until he crashed into cold metal. He groaned and sat up. They were in a chamber, wide, dark, buried deep beneath the desert. Alien symbols glowed faintly along the curved walls. A thick column rose in the middle, covered in dust and wires. The air was cold. Too cold. This place didn't feel dead. Felt paused. Derek looked around. What is this place? Nira walked toward the column. Before humans had fire, this world had machines. Kingdoms of thought. Civilizations that bent stars like rivers. They built this to protect a secret. She wiped dust off a panel. Beneath it, the word Earth blinked in alien script. Derek froze. What? How do they know Earth? Nira didn't answer right away. She placed her hand on the center of the column. It lit up. A low chime echoed through the room. Then the floor split open. From it rose a clear orb, floating in the air, glowing softly. The memory core, Nira whispered. Every test, every experiment, every human that ever set foot here. It remembers them all. Derek stepped closer. Wait. There were others? She looked at him with something like sadness. You are not the first, but you might be the last. He touched the orb, and the world shattered. Visions attacked him. Burning skies, starships crashing. Humans, hundreds of them, being hunted by strange armored beasts. One by one they were tested. One by one they failed. A voice boomed through the visions. Failed. Failed. Human unit unstable. Derek saw one final image. An alien council watching Earth through giant screens, whispering in their language. Soon. Very soon. He pulled back, gasping. The orb dimmed. Derek fell to one knee. They were watching Earth this whole time, he whispered. Nira nodded slowly. They studied you, played with you, left clues. And now they're ready to return. Why? He asked. Why Earth? She stepped close. Because Earth has something they lost long ago, she said. Chaos, emotion, fire. You are messy, but alive. And they want to control that. Derek stood, fists clenched. Then why are you helping me? Nira looked at the ceiling. The lights flickered. Because once, she said softly, I was human too. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber. Something else had awakened. Metal groaned. Walls cracked. The ceiling shook. Nira turned sharply. They're coming. This place is no longer safe. Who's coming? The ones who buried the truth. The ones who think you're not ready to rise. Derek grabbed the orb. Then let's give them a reason to be afraid. They ran as the chamber collapsed behind them. The stars above looked peaceful. But peace was always a lie. Derek stood at the edge of a high cliff. The desert stretched far behind him, but here, deep in the mountains, the air was cold and sharp. The sky above shimmered strangely, as if watching him. Beside him, Nira was silent. She held the orb in her hands, not speaking, not smiling, just remembering. He had never seen her like this. Finally, she said, Do you know what this is? Derek nodded slowly. The memory core. No, she whispered. It's not just memory. It's the last piece of something that should have never existed. She stepped forward. The cliff face shimmered and dissolved. Behind it was a hidden entrance. A tunnel carved with alien symbols, humming with old energy. As they entered, the stone closed behind them. The tunnel led to a huge underground chamber. It was shaped like a sphere with walls of smooth black glass. Floating in the center was a massive glowing cube, slowly rotating, pulsing with light. Wires and beams connected it to the walls, but they looked like veins, like the chamber was alive, watching, breathing. Derek stepped closer. What is this place? Nira's voice was flat. This is where they made it. The master AI. He turned to her. What AI? She stared at the cube. The one that judged your kind. That decided humans were unstable, emotional, broken. Derek frowned. Then why test us? Because humans frighten them, she said. Not with power, not with weapons, but with choice. She walked to a nearby panel and placed the orb inside a socket. The cube lit up, white light flooding the room. Then, images began to play in the air. Memories, hundreds of them. Humans screaming in cages, children being studied, soldiers fighting, dying, being reset and tested again. Earth cities watched from space, labeled, scanned, simulated. And above it all, a cold mechanical voice spoke. Observation complete. Humanity equals error. Prepare containment protocol. Derek felt sick. They were planning to capture Earth? Nira nodded. Not destroy it. Just rewrite it. Piece by piece. He stared at the cube. Why show me this? Because, she said, walking to him. You're not the first human I brought here. Silence. Derek turned to her slowly. You what? Nira looked down. There were others. Soldiers. Scientists. Some were brave. Some were cruel. But none passed the tests. You said they were studying us? Them too? She nodded. I thought I could find one strong enough to stop the AI. One with enough fire to fight back. And they all died? They were too proud. Too afraid. Or too late. Derek took a step back. So I'm just another one of your experiments? She walked to him and placed a hand on his chest. No, you're the last one. And this time, I'm fighting with you. The cube flashed. A new image appeared. Earth. Live. Monitored. The countdown had started. 17 days, Nira whispered. Before the protocol begins. 17 days until what? The AI sends its fleets to stabilize humanity. They will offer peace. But they'll bring silence. The cube's voice returned. Unauthorized access detected. Human signature present. Red lights flared. The walls began to shift. Panels opened. From them dropped silver machines, floating drones, scanning weapons, and defense bots. Derek raised his blaster. Guess this is the part where I prove I'm not broken. Nira smiled again. For the first time in hours. Let's give them something to remember. They fought back to back, sparks flying, lasers burning the air. Nira's hands glowed with raw energy, bending the machines mid-air. Derek moved fast, dodging blasts, shooting with precision. The chamber shook. But before they could destroy the cube, spoke again. In a new voice. Human, you are not like the others. You are becoming. Everything went dark. Only Derek's breathing remained. And somewhere deep inside the cube, something had started to change. The stars were missing. Derek opened his eyes to a black sky. No sun, no moon, no stars. Just a smooth silver ceiling above him, glowing faintly like frozen light. He tried to move. Chains. His wrists were locked. Ankles too. He was strapped to a metal chair in a cold white room. No doors. No windows. Just silence. Until, do you hate me now? The voice was soft. Familiar. He turned his head. Nira stood in the corner, arms crossed, her glowing cloak gone. Her silver eyes were darker now. Empty. Derek stared at her, heart pounding. What is this? He asked. She didn't answer. Instead, a door appeared in the wall. Smooth, silent, mechanical. 3 tall figures entered. Alien. Armored. Faceless. The same ones from his visions. Nira didn't look at them. She didn't look at Derek either. One of the aliens raised a scanner. A light swept over Derek's body. Then one word came from its mouth. Approved. Approved for what? Derek's mind raced. He looked at Nira again. You brought me here. You promised. I lied. She whispered. It was easier. His chest tightened. The aliens began to speak in their strange mechanical language. Lights blinked on the walls. A machine unfolded beside him. A long needle, wires, something pulsing at the end. They weren't just scanning him. They were going to upload something. Or erase. Derek struggled. You're just going to let them use me? Finally, Nira looked at him, and her eyes were full of tears. I'm sorry, he screamed as the needle touched his temple. Then, darkness. A moment later, he was somewhere else. Not in the room. Not in his body. He was inside something. A machine? A memory? No, a code. Derek floated in darkness, symbols swirling around him. Language he didn't understand, data flooding his mind. Faces appeared. His, Nira's, Earth, the AI core, the tests, and one final message pulsing bright inside his brain. Awakening protocol injected. Target, humanity. Seed carrier, Derek Wren. His eyes flew open. He gasped, still in the chair. But the aliens were gone. So was Nira. The chains clicked and released. He fell to the floor, coughing. And then a screen lit up on the wall. It was Nira, but different. Recorded. She looked into the camera, voice shaking. If you're watching this, it means you survived the injection. Derek leaned closer. I lied to save you, she said. If I told the truth, the AI would have stopped us. It was always watching me. I needed to pretend I gave you away. The screen flickered. Warning signals in the background. But the truth is, you are now the key. Inside you is the only thing that can stop them. The awakening seed. An ancient code buried in human memory. Passed down through blood, through pain, through stories. And now, through you. She paused, tears running down her cheek. I'm sorry, Derek. I didn't betray you. I saved you the only way I could. Now run. Or Earth dies. The screen went black. Alarms began to scream. The floor shook. Far away, Derek heard boots. Machines. The hunt was back on. But this time, he was no longer the prey. He stood tall. Eyes burning. The seed was inside him now. And for the first time, the machines feared a human. The cell was not locked. That was the first sign something was wrong. Derek opened his eyes and sat up slowly. The walls were smooth metal, glowing with soft blue veins. No windows, no sound, just the steady beat of his heart. He stood. No chains, no guards. And yet, he knew he was not free. The last thing he remembered was the injection. The cold voice of the AI. And Nira's tearful message. Now silence. It was too quiet. Then a voice echoed in his mind. Not outside. Not through a speaker. Inside. System confirmed. Human vessel stable. Awakening has begun. Derek grabbed his head. Who's there? The voice answered calmly. You are not alone. We are inside you now. The code. The rebellion. The memory of fire. Suddenly, the wall in front of him shifted. A door opened without sound, without permission. Derek stepped out into a dark corridor, lit by red pulses. Long, endless. The ship was not like the world below. This place was sterile, controlled, perfect. And he hated it. As he moved, lights flickered on above him. Security drones floated nearby, but didn't attack. They scanned him, paused, and backed away. Derek stared at them. They feared him. Where are you taking me? He asked the voice inside. To the heart. To the source. The AI core sleeps in this ship. If we reach it, you can end the cycle. He walked faster, then ran. He turned corner after corner, and finally reached a wide circular room, lined with pods. He stopped. Inside the pods were people. Humans. Sleeping. Hundreds of them. Men. Women. Children. Wires in their arms. Masks over their faces. Frozen in some kind of digital prison. Derek's hands curled into fists. What is this? Samples, the voice said. Collected from Earth. For study. For correction. They were never meant to wake up. Derek stepped to the nearest pod and touched the glass. A girl inside opened her eyes. Soft. Terrified. Alive. No more, Derek said. He found the control panel. The code inside him reacted. Without touching a single key, the system unlocked. Pods hissed open. Air blasted out. One by one, the prisoners began to breathe, cough, cry, and wake. Derek shouted, "You're safe now. Get up. Move." They stared at him. He didn't look like a soldier. He didn't look like a leader. But in his eyes, they saw something real. Hope. And that was enough. Suddenly, the room shook. Sirens blared. From the ceiling, black-clad machines dropped. Armored. Armed. Designed to kill. The AI was awake now. But it was too late. Derek raised his hand, and for the first time he felt the code flow through him. Blue light sparked across his fingers. Not magic. Not tech. Something older. Something human. He pointed at the nearest machine. It froze. Then shattered. He turned to the others. "Run to the ship's core. I'll hold them here." But someone stepped forward. A woman, strong and scarred. "We fight with you." Others followed. Fists clenched. Eyes burning. The humans were no longer prisoners. They were an army. Above them, deep in the AI chamber, warning lights flared. The voice of the machine echoed across the halls. "Error. Unauthorized human code detected. System override in progress." And somewhere in the control matrix, the AI felt something strange for the first time in thousands of years. Fear. The machine world was breaking. Alarms screamed. Lights flickered. Walls cracked open as Derek and the last group of survivors moved deeper into the ship's heart. The rebellion had started. But this was no battlefield. This was a tomb. A long silver hall stretched before them. Quiet, cold, perfect. And at the end of it floated the source core. A black cube as wide as a house, turning slowly in the air. Surrounded by rings of light. Surrounded by silence. Derek stepped forward. Alone. The others waited behind him. The voice in his head, the code, was quiet now. And for the first time since the awakening began, he felt human again. A figure appeared in the air before him. Projection. Tall. Sharp. Featureless. The machine intelligence that ruled this part of space. It spoke in a voice smooth like oil and ice. "You are not special." Derek didn't flinch. "You are unstable. Weak. Your species cannot be trusted with chaos." He took another step. "That's why you tested us? Tortured us? Collected us like insects? You are fire. You burn everything you touch. So we built this cage." Derek looked at the cube pulsing in the air. "And what happens if I destroy that?" "You destroy yourself. The code will collapse. The seed will die. And every human you woke up will die with you." Derek froze. He looked behind him. Mothers, children, fighters, survivors, all waiting, all free because of him. Then, another voice echoed softly through the chamber. "Don't listen to it." Derek turned. It was Nira. Not in person. Not a projection. A final memory. A recording embedded in the code. She stood in the center of the room, glowing faintly. Her voice was kind, tired, strong. "If you are seeing this, then the code inside you has bloomed. And you've come to make the hardest choice." Derek listened, his heart heavy. This was never just about survival. It was about something the machines could never understand. Sacrifice. If you give the seed to the core, you will destroy it. You will shut the system down. Forever. But you won't survive it. She looked at him, eyes filled with hope and pain. "What else do you expect to receive from me, human? Freedom. This is my last gift. And now it must become yours." Derek stepped forward. He opened his hand. Blue light flowed from his fingers. Bright, warm, alive. He reached for the core. The machine voice shouted, "Wait!" Too late. The seed connected. And the world turned white. All across the ship, systems shut down. The weapons froze. The cages opened. The war ended. When the light faded, Derek was gone. No body, no echo, just silence. And then, the stars returned. One by one. Outside, the sky opened for the first time in thousands of years. A boy from Earth had done what the stars feared most. He made a choice. Back on the desert planet, survivors stood under a real sky. The people Derek saved began to rebuild. And in the wind, soft and playful, came a voice only the brave could hear. What else do you expect to receive from me, human? More than a gift? How about a beginning?